Welcome back, folks. Today I'm looking at Ariana Grande and what she's here on Earth to do, what her soul was incarnated on this Earth to do, that kind of thing. And I'm also going to take a look at her astrological birth chart. So I'll kick off with that first because it's usually the meatiest part of my videos. Something I noticed right away when I looked at her astrological birth chart was that she had 7 square and opposing transits, and she only had like 5 sextile or trining transits. What I just said back there, if you don't enjoy astrology, you don't enjoy studying it, perfectly okay. It's hard work, I've noticed. It talks to me about there being a whole lot more difficulty, friction, pain in her life than there seems to be good stuff. And that happens sometimes with some birth charts. Her being wealthy, her being famous can take the edge off, but at the end of the day, behind closed doors, when it's just her by herself and her trying to exist in this life that she's been placed into, it's difficult. It's full of pain, and that's something that I've noticed for a lot of the VIPs that I've read about. It just sucks sometimes to exist sometimes, and that I think a lot of people can relate to that. Anyway, has a whole lot more friction in her life than she has good stuff happening for her with all those square and opposing transits. Something else I notice is that she is currently going through her Saturn return and will go through her Saturn return until May 2005. Now, her Saturn in Pisces lands in her second house of value, which is about material wealth, the things that we think are important to invest in. And it's because it's in Pisces, this is kind of where she may have gotten a bit dreamy, kind of like, I'm not trying to insult anybody. And by the way, while I'm not a fan per se of Ariana Grande, I want her to see her get into her best and highest self. I want to see her genuinely happy, in alignment with her destiny and all that. I want that for her. So let's talk about that being in Saturn in Pisces. This is where she's going to have some difficulty when it comes to the things that she dreams about doing with her money. As a kid, as someone who, before her Saturn return, may have pretty easily spent money, been kind of frivolous about it, this is where Saturn kind of becomes the taskmaster, and she starts to think more carefully about what she wants to spend, what she wants to save, what she wants to invest in, that kind of thing. This is definitely going to be a growing up of how she a maturing process, I should say, about her connection to money. Even though she's got more wealth, she's got fuck you money, right? She's got a tremendous amount of wealth. That doesn't mean that this isn't a call to figuring out how she can best spend the money that she's been gifted, basically. She might have noticed some spending habits that she wants to change. Like I was saying earlier, she might have been spending quite a bit when she was younger, but now she's kind of slowed down. And sometimes she might not want to buy that much stuff, if anything at all, on a particular day. Saturn can kind of be an ass kicker. It can definitely slow things down for us. It is an earth sign. So it's going to encourage, anyway, it being an earth sign is going to encourage being careful by nature with money. It's an older influence. This is when, Saturn return is the maturing process of a person. We all go through it. If we age up to like 27, 28, and it lasts around 3 to 5 years, or in her case, it's going to be 2 years. Hers kicked off in May or March 2023. So this hasn't been easy for her because earth energy can kind of clamp down on water energy and kind of keep it from flowing. And Pisces is such a dreamy, kind of go with the flow kind of sign that it's going to be pretty different for her this has been a pretty different era for her to exist through at this point. Not only does she have a Saturn return in Pisces, we also need to discuss her Chiron in Leo in the 7th house. This kind of indicates that fame may get in the way of her heart and her partner. There may be times where she wants to hang out with her romantic partners, but it's just so difficult because she has a lot of fans. She has a lot of demands placed on her, being the famous musician that she is. That's just part of the relationship, and it is difficult. She wants loyalty, admiration in her romantic relationships, and sometimes that can be a little bit unfair because Leo is inherently associated with the sun. She might take a bit of an oversized role in her relationships, and unfortunately that's what causes the relationship to struggle, if not fall apart. And she might want to fix this, not fix this per se, but she might want to tamp down on those effects, especially with her sun sign being in Cancer. She might try to kind of cut down on her Leo energy coming through, being like wanting to be the center of attention, for instance. She might try that, but then other times it just kind of comes out. It's second nature to her. It's in her birth chart. And it's a struggle kind of keeping that in balance. Chiron in Leo can be rough because it has to do with the reputation that she presents to her audience, and also with the face that she presents to her romantic partners. That can be really difficult sometimes. I've also noticed that pride and some laziness may cause some problems in her romantic partnerships, and occasionally in her business partnerships too. The 7th house isn't just about romantic partnerships, it's also about business partnerships. So sometimes that can cause issues with people that she works with on her team, but it's not always as rough as other Chiron transits. When it gets behind closed doors, seen with that 7th house of partnerships, that's when things can get kind of rough on her and she can start to feel that friction. So let's talk about her sun in Cancer in her 6th house of service. This is where I really sense that if it weren't for fame, she'd be the perfect Queen of Pentacles, in the sense that she'd be the super mom. She'd be the incredible domestic housewife. She would probably love to cook and express herself through how she kept up a pretty home and made it feel great to any guests coming in, feel great for any family coming in. And she may be like that already, but I'm suspecting that with a care team around her that she doesn't have to clean house. She doesn't have to cook for herself. And if she has, or when she has, or like I said, I'm not a fan. I don't know anything about whether she has kids at this point or not. She will in the future, definitely with that sun in Cancer. She's probably going to want 2 or 3 kids, maybe even a few more. It kind of suggests that she likes kids, or at least understands them on a pretty fundamental level. Again, that Queen of Pentacles energy is really, really nice. And this is someone who's going to find a great sense of satisfaction from having the ins and outs of a daily family life, like taking the kids to school, dropping them off at their afternoon activities, being the soccer mom kind of thing. This suggests that she probably will find a great deal of satisfaction if once she gets there, if she isn't already there, okay? So she's kind of cool in that, or at the very least, she tries hard at these roles. Sounds like a pretty cool energy to me personally. Something else I notice is her ascendant in Capricorn. People see her as a hard, steady, dependable worker, and she's someone who she can be dependent on to consistently put on a good show. She's a hard worker, and people see that. People appreciate that of her, and it's not just her team, her family, her friends, or romantic partners. It's everybody. This is the face that she presents to the world, basically. So we're about to get into some heavy stuff. She's got her Pluto in Scorpio in her 10th house, and unfortunately, what this means is that she pretty early on gained a reputation for being able to keep quiet about the things that she might have been about sexual abuse that may have happened to her or that she may have seen around the industry. It's like I was saying, this is rough. It can indicate, with that Pluto and Scorpio in her 10th house, that can indicate her being able to suddenly turn around on people and quote unquote bite them when she perceives that it's time to transform. Pluto and Scorpio is a powerful energy, and especially in her 10th house. This speaks to someone who might eventually use her fame as a way to speak out against the people who abused her or that she saw abuse others. And I wonder if she won't do that some years after her Saturn return is finished. Once she's finished solidifying the lessons that she learned from growing up into a full-blown mature adult through her Saturn return, I wonder if she won't look back at the people that she was once loyal to who may have abused her or abused others and speak out against them. And it might shock the people that she used to work with because they see her as someone who's able to keep secrets, and there's an explanation in her transit explanation for that in her birth chart. She has Neptune and Uranus in Capricorn, and it opposes her Mercury in her Cancer in her 7th house of partnerships. So Neptune and Uranus in Capricorn appears in her 12th house of secrets, and that's where I kind of get the feeling that those are where those communication secrets have gone because of that opposing energy with Mercury. She learned quickly that if she's going to have a smooth ride in Hollywood, in the music industry, then she's going to have to shut up, basically. She learned that from a very early point. And there are times when, because this is like Neptune and Cancer energy, that's quite a bit of water energy. And also, Mercury and Uranus are together in that air energy too. So there's definitely a part of her that wants to speak out, but that Capricorn is a really powerful transit too, and because it lands in her 12th house of secrets, that's where things tend to say. She hurts with it. She has cried about it a great deal, I can see that much, but she tells herself that it's in the past when it isn't. She has not fully healed from what she saw, what may have happened to her in the past, and there's a real risk that she carries it in. Mimics the behaviors that she learned to cope with what happened. She may carry those behaviors into her romantic partnerships. Okay, this is a really difficult transit, and just generally her astrological birth chart is just a difficult one for anyone to have, and especially on a world stage like she has. That's going to be hard work for her to carry around all the time, and she's definitely one who behind the scenes, when you see what's in her birth chart, this is definitely someone that would have been a cool next door neighbor to have if she had ever been, just a regular everyday non-VIP. She would have been an interesting person to have been around. There would have definitely been a mysterious aspect around her, like really sweet, is the perfect housewife, mom, and all that kind of good stuff. But there's stuff that she doesn't talk about. And there might be the understanding that if she had been a civilian, that what she did behind closed doors with that Pluto and Scorpio in her 10th house, there still would have been some degree of reputation around her if she had just been a regular everyday person, okay? This is a difficult birth chart to discuss. Well, yeah, what I should say is this is a difficult birth chart to have, for anyone to have. Nonetheless, there's still a lot that she can learn from having these transits, and I'm hoping that her Saturn return in Pisces won't bring some grounding to where she is in life. And I hope that she chooses to speak out against the stuff that has harmed her, regardless of whether she was going to be a VIP or just a regular everyday person. She was going to have she was going to be in therapy if she wanted to deal with the stuff and in a healthy way. She would have been in therapy for a while at least, and she may still be. I wonder if she isn't avoiding it because there is so much junk in here. Something I noticed with her Pluto and Scorpio in her 10th house, it opposes her Venus and Taurus in her 4th house of origins. So if she talked to her parents about this, there's the real risk that they may not have believed her at all. it's an absolute tragedy. With that Venus and Taurus in her 4th house, she probably grew up with a really pretty home that always felt really welcoming and inviting. She may have made a lot of really nostalgic memories about that. And there's also that suggestion that she wants to bring that into her future home with family, with a partner that she raises children with, that kind of thing. She enjoys being at home. And she would have been that way as a regular person too. But as a VIP, it kind of clashes with her need to work hard. She is a hard worker. I can see that much. And that ascendant in Capricorn is going to really make things difficult for her when she wants to just be home, be with her family, that kind of thing. So there's a lot going on with her as far as her astrological birth chart. Let me move into asking about who she is really behind the scenes. We've got a picture of her with her astrological birth chart, but there may be some things about her birth chart that she's subverted through habits, behavior, being around people, that sort of thing. So I'm going to lay out my cards and I'll be right back. So here I've laid her cards out in a portrait spread using the Lenormand cards, my 7th sphere Lenormand cards. So portrait spread is a 3x3, a 9-card spread that gives quite a bit of information into a situation, or even in this case, a personality. So in the center, I've got Stork. Ariana is someone who does the same thing over and over again, but often in just slightly different ways. It's kind of what I would expect to see from someone who has their sun sign in Cancer. That's a sign that likes a good deal of stability. And this is someone who does things a little bit differently, like she does grow and change through each of these cycles, but the cycles also become more powerful for her. They become more stable feeling for her as time goes on. So that's her central theme. In her top corner, she's got Fish and she's got Journey. This is someone who is going through some kind of spiritual journey, or, all our lives are journeys, right? So that's what she's going through when it comes to her money. Now, just a second ago, I talked about her Saturn return being in Pisces in her 2nd house of finances, of value. And what do we see here? Literally, we've got Pisces in a sense over here, and then we've got that water energy more water energy right over there. So this is talking about her going through a Saturn return that's been a long time coming, I should say, and it might be a long, something that she has to work through well past the point of her Saturn return. Something about her connection to what makes her materially comfortable. That's going through a long-term journey, probably throughout her entire lifetime. Is she going to use it to benefit her in the future, for her children, that kind of thing? Or is she going to frivolously spend it on things that don't matter? There's something about her money that is going to become a legacy. I wonder if she isn't going to set up like a charitable foundation or something like that. This is not something, she is really, really quiet about this. She doesn't want to appear to be flashy to a lot of her fans. There is that concern about how she's going to appear to her fans. She is aware of that. So she's committed to repressing it. Literally, you can read this like a sentence. This is someone whom she's doing quite a bit. This is between the coffin and the ring in this particular case. She's quite emotional about this. This is basically her moon sign. And I believe, I'd have to look back at her birth chart. I don't have that right now. But her moon sign was definitely one that was deeply emotional. I remember that much. So may have been some water energy. Being quiet, there may be something about talking about her money that just gets her really excited in a negative kind of way, gets her upset, actually. I don't know entirely what that's about. It's definitely a security blanket for her. I can see with that ring and the fish together, that's I need you at all costs, because if I don't have you, if I don't have my wealth, I am nothing. So yeah, with the Saturn return in Pisces, that's definitely shaking up how she understands her connection between herself and her money, what makes her wealthy and famous. Like I was saying earlier, she is not talking about this. This has been a long time coming, and it's going to be something that she's going to probably be working on for the rest of her life, just because that ship kind of indicates this has been going on for a minute. Okay, I'm starting to repeat myself. I'm sorry. Let's talk about her top row. She's got ship, lily, and fish. She's well established. She knows she is. And that's it. I've already uncovered her bottom row. That's the coffin, that's the moon, that's the ring. That she's really, really super quiet about how emotional this connection to money gets for her. And so she can be quite compassionate towards fans who are also in a rough place. She might secretly give money away in a sense, and I see her quite possibly having done that pretty repeatedly in the past, actually. Now that I'm looking at the diagonal slant, or I should say this way. She's got fish, stork, and coffin, which tells me that she's kind of repressed when it comes to her finances. It's not something that she talks about. She might even lie with good intentions about how much money she makes, how comfortable she is. Like, she's not showing, not for nefarious reasons, I don't feel, but she's not showing how ridiculously wealthy she is. There is some pride to that. There's some fear of stealing. Really? That just popped into my head. Afraid of it possibly being stolen from her. She might think that there's some bad luck associated with bragging about being too showy with money. That's interesting. She appreciates what it's done in terms of giving her stuff, in terms of establishing things for her with that lily. She's grateful for that. She sees how there was a lot of risk associated with this, but really what she sees is a whole lot of reward. She's kind of not nonchalant, but she enjoys this. This makes her happy being established. I see that. So something she doesn't talk about in her past is that she dreamed about going on a particular journey when it came to wealth. She's always dreamed about fame, about having a lot of money, and she doesn't talk about that, or she didn't in the past. She may have, there's something about this, hiding it from the public, hiding how she came to her wishes, hopes, and dreams from the public. And I wonder if it doesn't have something to do with that Pluto and Scorpio in her 10th house. Like, again, I'm coming back to that idea of sexual abuse happening, and she doesn't talk about that. That's going to be a long-term journey that she's going to have to work through. She lies to people when she says, yeah, I'm fine, no, nothing happened to me, because she's trying to protect herself. Later on, she might come out and talk about this, but she's definitely not one who's going to talk, it's going to abstractly show itself through romantic partnerships, and also to a certain degree in business partnerships. There are some things that she will not do, places that she will not go with business partners, but there are some things that she doesn't talk about with her romantic partners when she should be, too. She's got Lily, she's got Stork and Moon in her current present. She's quite satisfied. She's in a good place right now as far as being comfortable in her career, how people look at her. She's not feeling like she can be toppled. She knows that she's quite secure in where she is. It's like she fulfills a particular niche that she knows is not going to let go of her. That's kind of interesting, but she's also not talking about this too much. This is stuff that happens under the cover of night, and it's interesting that it lands alongside the coffin. This is not stuff that she talks about. And you know what? Moon, in this case, lands on the house of the coffin. That's fascinating, that they're next to each other. Anyway, she doesn't talk about this, It's bragging to her. In her future, she's got fish, key, and ring that she's going to be able to really commit to some cool things, revolutionary things in the future. And keep in mind, we are in Pluto and Aquarius right now. So if this is the time for her to do cool, unusual stuff that really shakes the foundations of everything, including of her finances, is what I should say. This is the time to do it. Pluto in Aquarius started this year and is going to go on until 2043. So if she's going to do some revolutionary stuff with her money and commit to doing it, this is the transit, this is the era to do it in. And I hope that she does, because it's going to do something for her journey with wealth, with her life's working through the life lessons that she has to learn when it comes to the things that make her materially comfortable, her wealth, the legacy that she passes on. She is going to work her way gradually through multiple life cycles towards firmly setting firmly committing to doing good things with her wealth in the future as a way to give back, and also as a way to get back at the people who abused her. There's something about the charitable stuff that she might do in the future that kind of has a bearing, takes its influences from how she was abused in the past. There may be the connection that because she has wealth, she doesn't need to be around people who would ever do stuff like that to her ever again. And that might be where she finds a whole lot of her security, and that's something else for her to come to terms with. Interesting. Who is Ariana Grande? She's someone who's gradually going through different life cycles, different lessons throughout her life, and I'm hoping gradually learning things that make her a real positive force to be reckoned with in the future. Okay. My next question is, what is she currently doing in her romantic life? I'm going to shuffle and lay out my cards, and I'll be right back. So I've laid her cards out in a pyramid spread, and I'll explain what each tier means. I'm also using my Lenormand cards. So when it comes to her romantic relationships, she has the house as her central theme, or her problem, perhaps, depending on how she perceives it. With the house, those are things that go on behind closed doors. And remember how I've said earlier that she is perfectly capable of keeping secrets. I wonder if she isn't keeping some abuse secret. Whenever she's in romantic partnerships, there may be an aspect of abuse that goes on, and this is asking her to face up to the abusive cycles that she's gone through. Remember that her signifier card in her portrait spread was the stork. This is someone who repeats the same cycles over and over again, both good and bad cycles. It looks like Spirit is asking her to stop and look at the pattern that her relationships have taken on, and they possibly stem somewhat from how her dad treated her. That's a real risk as well. There is dad, I noticed, in her third level. So the first level is about the central theme. The second is how basically the solution to the problem. The third level is about what she may or may not know. There's something about dad and his soul contract with her that she needs to break in order to break out of this karmic destiny that she has going on. Karmic fate, to always seek out romantic partnerships that are ultimately harmful for her, that are painful to go through, that they are specifically, the whip is about punishment, and I also associate that with abuse. The scythe I associate with putting an end to things, cutting things off. That's going to be hard work because these are patterns that her dad established with her. This may have also been with dad. You've got animus or man. You've got writer and you've got letter. Letter is also about contracts. He may have signed her up or really, really shoved her in front of people who would pay attention to her and sign a contract with her eventually. And there may have been something between Dad and the sexual abuse that she may have witnessed or may have happened to her. Like I said, Pluto in a Scorpio is nothing to fuck around with, and especially not when it lands in someone's 10th house. In her future, that's the bottom row, we've got 4 cards. We've got Star, Moon, Ring, and Crossroad. So these are like what she wants out of life in terms of a happy home life is a deeply emotional one for her. She doesn't talk about this very often at all, but she is deeply committed to it, and she's made a choice to be deeply committed to having a happy home life. So when we talk about her romantic relationships, she's still pressing on and trying her best to create a happy home life for herself, for her romantic partner, but with her repeating patterns over and over again, it's just things fall apart quickly, they slip away, they don't ever feel stable to her, and it's deeply upsetting. And I can imagine that would be for anybody, regardless of whether they're regular folk or VIPs. So let's move on to my next question. Is she happy in life? And if she isn't, what can she do to get there? I'm going to be using my White Numen Tarot today for that, and I'm going to be using a Celtic cross. I'll see you in just a bit. So I've already shuffled and laid out her cards. Right away, I've got the Three of Pentacles as her main theme. She's not working with anybody right now, and crossing her, or what I should say is pointing to her past, she's got the Hierophant. She may not be an actual, I'm getting from Spirit that she is actually that she is a spiritual, religious type of person. So I'm getting the word Kundalini, the words Kundalini, shadow work. She's working on stuff pretty deliberately when it comes to how she works with other people right now. So she's not collaborating with anyone right now. She might do that in the future, but right now she's listening to her guides, her ancestors, the universe, when they say to stop working with other people for the moment. This is interesting. And again, I don't know anything about her latest album, if she's going to release one soon, if she's touring. I don't know anything about this, but this indicates to me that she's not working with others on some level right now because her guides say to stop. In the past, she's got here the Nine of Pentacles. That's someone who is wealthy and comfortable completely by themselves and as a single person, enjoys pets even. Pretty much in every version of this card, there are some animals to indicate that she enjoys being around animals, for instance, or has the money to support perhaps exotic animals. That's what the original Rider-Waite-Smith is about. That was a hawk in the original Rider-Waite-Smith. Animals that would have been expensive to keep, feed, maintain, train, that kind of thing. So in the past, she had everything that she wanted, but there's something about her stopping working right now that's really, really fascinating. In her future, she's got the Three of Wands. There won't be the results that other people expect for her, but she'll get the results that she wants, and that's to stop coming and going with people who have no regard for her higher self, for her wealth. She's much more focused on her and her stuff, her act, her career, her home life, than she is with other people right now. And I would kind of expect to see that with someone in Saturn return, especially in Pisces. That can be about how we connect with people, because water's not great with boundaries. It goes up to the boundaries that other entities create. Can we just say that? So definitely a hold off just a bit. She's separating herself from people, and that's not always a bad thing to do during a Saturn return in Pisces. This is in her conscious position. I see her as being a very decisive decision maker. Once she sets her mind, when it comes to this Three of Pentacles, when people invite her, even if it's someone that she would have liked to have performed with, that's no. I don't want to work with you right now, maybe later. She's polite about it, but she's really, really picky about the people that she's got a clear head when it comes to, I'm going to choose to work with you, I'm not going to choose to work with you. Fascinating. This is definitely about not trying new things just yet. With that grounded energy and the Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles, I can see how she wouldn't want to be making any sudden moves at all. She might have been more zippy in her past as in the Nine of Pentacles, but at this point, if she's talking about any new projects, she's really keeping it to herself. Like if she has like a secret album, she's doing it completely behind closed doors and like 3 people know. And they're under like the strictest NDAs in the world. This is someone who likes to operate in secret for right now. So that Page of Wands in reverse is in her subconscious position. In her advice, she's got the Sun. She's being asked by the universe, can you move towards things that make you genuinely happy? Genuinely at peace with yourself? And that's kind of where I get this indication from. This is the universe, her ancestors, her guides, source, any deity that she may worship is urging her towards true inner happiness that isn't affected by external circumstances. And I wonder if her pausing work with other people isn't her listening to them. This is actually a more encouraging read than I was expecting. Like, I always got a fake kind of shell persona whenever I saw her, whenever I listened to her speak, for instance. I just kind of thought there's just like this veneer of perfection, but it's that Pluto and Scorpio in her 10th house really putting up a shield between herself and other people. Like, there are some things that she just prefers to keep secret, private, and that kind of thing. And it's different than Taylor Swift's shell of perfection that she puts on. And I guess that makes sense, doesn't it? Because we're all different people. We're all going to have different experiences in life. And a lot of us put up perfect shells, perfect veneers in order to hide things from the public that we don't want out there necessarily. Whether that's a cool new project that you're excited to be working on, or pain that you don't want people to see. So, being happy through finding a result, she's going to have to learn how to find happiness through results that she's proud of, but the other people are like, what the fuck is this shit? There's going to be a point where she's going to have to navigate obstacles in spite of their being present. Upright, this would be about being able to move swiftly through life, for instance. This is life's journey. But in this particular case, I'm wondering if she isn't going to have to seriously slow down, because she will like her results. She's going to like her results because they're going to be what she wants to put out there, not necessarily what others want her to put out there, seen with that 3 of Pentacles in reverse. But she's going to find happiness in slowing down and navigating the obstacles, because that's what's going, like, doing what she wants independent of others. It's what's going to bring her ultimate true happiness, or part of it anyway. In her environment card, this is the 6 of Swords. It's in reverse. Going home to nostalgic things. This might have something to do with her new album that she might be working on in secret. Don't come for me. I'm so sorry. I don't know anything about her when it comes to Ariana Grande. She may be working on something. She may not be. But I'm getting from my guides that, yes, she is. It's an album about finding home, being home, nostalgia, memories, kids, marriage, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of theming that I'm getting when it comes to, and I guess that makes sense. That sun sign in Cancer is going to make things really pretty powerful when it comes to her gravitational pull towards home. In reverse is the Ace of Cups, and this is on top of her hopes and her fears. Afraid of self-love, afraid of her cup of love running dry for others, and I guess I would understand that with that Pluto and Scorpio is showing up once again. But Scorpio can be a deeply loving sign, but most especially her sun sign in Cancer is a deeply loving one too. And I wonder if there isn't a fear that people are going to love her and then leave her. Like, I wonder if she isn't afraid of just this repeating cycle, kind of like what we saw with the stork. I wonder if she isn't afraid that people are going to repeat a cycle of, I love you, I'm going to leave you, and then someone new comes in. She wants stability with that. I need to remember which zodiac sign is fixed, because that would kind of indicate earth energy. And I keep coming back to that Cancer, and I wonder if there isn't some earth energy associated with the sign of Cancer. I'll have to do my research, okay? But there's something about needing stability that she struggles to find, and I think that we saw that earlier in her previous spreads, that this is a struggle for her. One more question. I want to know what her soul was incarnated on this earth to do in this lifetime. I'm going to do another Celtic cross spread with my White Numen Tarot. I'll be right back. Well, now, with her, what was she put in on this earth to do in this lifetime? She's got Judgment in reverse. In the past, she was supposed to have been in the energy of the High Priestess. It is in reverse. She passed into this lifetime without ever having completed this journey towards listening to her intuition, towards developing her psychic abilities. There was something about this previous lifetime in the High Priestess reverse that she was supposed to have done. She should have been, in a sense, a judge of who got to be in her life and who didn't get to be in her life. Definitely was supposed to have been in contact with her spiritual side of herself, maybe missed out on that, but definitely didn't work with her intuition in the past life in the way that she should have. And here in this lifetime, she is supposed to make good on what she didn't do in the past, and she is supposed to come into this energy of the High Priestess upright. Someone who acts on their intuition and doesn't just listen to it, actually uses it to do good things on this earth. No, I was wondering, I was asking Spirit, did she do some evil witchcraft? No, not at all. She just flat out wasn't in contact with her intuition, with her magical abilities. She is meant to do that in this lifetime. And in the future, she can be reincarnated as someone who is just an old soul, a very stable person in control of their emotions, but doesn't shut them off completely, but isn't overwhelmed with them. Someone who feels like an old soul, who's been born here multiple times. And with that sun sign in Cancer, I wonder if she can't start being like this in this lifetime once she gets to be considerably older. And by older, I mean 60s, 70s, something like that, if you can imagine Ariana Grande being that old, okay? But I wonder if she can't start work on this in this lifetime. In her conscious position, she's got the Six of Pentacles. Right now, she's really struggling to trust the universe to provide what it is that she feels like she needs and wants. That's also a card to do with financial gain. This isn't about profit in this case. This is about just having enough to squeak by on. She doesn't trust the universe to provide what it is that she really, really wants. And remember how we discussed earlier that she felt like wealth created a tremendous foundation for her to do good stuff for herself and others on. And I can kind of see why, if she were to get in touch with her intuition, then she would be able to much better trust the universe. I hope that she is doing this work I'm getting from Spirit. She is choosing to do this work, but it's hard, slow labor for her, and it's compounded by her Saturn return, okay? I forgot to discuss her crossing energy. That's the Two of Swords. It's heading towards the future in this particular case, or it's pointing towards the future up from the High Priestess. She's choosing to do this. She's choosing to learn to pay attention to her spiritual aspect, and that is partly what's going to build her up into the King of Cups in this lifetime. Someone who is in mastery over their emotions, but doesn't clamp down on them and doesn't let them overwhelm them. She's also got the Seven of Pentacles, and this is in her subconscious position. She's working really, really hard and is also watching the fruits of her labor grow. She's patient with this. In the upright position, this is about not fucking with your fruits and vegetables, the results of your hard labor while they grow. If you lived on a farm, if you've ever lived on a farm, or if you grow vegetables or fruits, then you know that if you fuck with the crop too much, it kills the crop or makes them grow smaller or less tasty than they could have been if you just left them alone in the sun, that kind of thing, watered them and just that was it. She knows when to work and when to watch the results of her hard labor grow. She's a whole lot more spiritually mature and just more emotionally, mentally mature than I expect her to be. It's a pleasant surprise. In her advice position, she has the Eight of Pentacles in reverse. She needs to remember that this isn't a skill. Becoming the King of Cups is not a skill that she can develop, and that there are no shortcuts to becoming the King of Cups. This is born of experience and of making the wise choice when it comes to how she handles things that throw her for an emotional loop. In her current environment card, she's got the Hanged Man in reverse. This is someone who is supposed to be taking action on the downloads which the universe has been giving them. So with that Judgment card, she is paying attention. She might have been suspended to a certain degree with her Saturn return in Pisces. She might have been suspended when it came to acting on her intuition, just because she was getting used to it. But now she can move forward because she has been listening to it. It's really, really fascinating. So with her hopes and her fears, we move cards to the side. You've got the White Numen. It's in reverse. This is an oracle card with my particular White Numen deck, and this tells me that she's afraid that this wonderful era of plenty, of balance, of moving into new eras without ever grieving the old era too much, this is a good place for someone to be, and she's afraid of being in a good place because she's so used to hardship. She is so used to pain that she thinks that kind of thing isn't possible, and yet it absolutely is for someone who works as hard on their spiritual aspects of themselves like Ariana appears to be doing right now. Really, really fascinating stuff. And by the way, that Saturn return in Pisces is also going to do a number on her intuition if she allows it to work that way. And maybe that's what we're seeing here with this High Priestess in reverse. Maybe she can flip that energy up into that King of Cups and have King of Cups work together with that High Priestess. Her outcome card is the Two of Wands, not just dreaming about it, but doing it. In this particular card, the figure is held back by a snake around its neck. This is where she lets go of the snake and just does the damn thing instead of just dreaming about it. So this is about her feeling her way through to the energy of the King of Cups. That also means that she's going to take a stand against the abusers that she's had to deal with in the past. And that means actually doing the damn thing instead of just thinking about it, dreaming about it. She may have missed some opportunities to talk about what happened with her. I knew that a documentary had just been released, like Quiet on the Set has just been released as of this, or sort of just been released as of this recording. But I noticed, I thought, someone needs to correct me. I thought that she didn't appear in that documentary. In that case, yes, she missed an opportunity, but she won't always. I see her working, striving towards becoming someone who stands up for others and uses her money as a way to help others, to push aside the influences that would keep victims and kids like her who grew up through similar circumstances. It's going to be a way to help those kids as well. If you got all the way to the end of this, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.